As the nation marks the anniversary of the EDSA People Power Revolution, we look at its relevance today and what it means for Philippine democracy moving forward. This time, let's talk to Attorney Michael Yusinko. He is Senior Research Fellow at the Ateneo Policy Center. Magandang umaga. Good morning, Attorney. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Riza, and good morning, Diego, at good morning sa lahat ng mga nanonood at nakikinig sa programa nyo ngayon.
Attorney, you've seen perhaps already, di ba, this morning, there's various activities in different locations commemorating itong 40th anniversary ng People Power Revolution. But in your perspective, how do Filipinos actually see EDSA today after, di ba, many decades?
Well, it depends on who you ask, no? If you ask a person like me na namulat sa EDSA as a young kid, baka ang perspective ko is more of skepticism than optimism, no? Kasi I've seen, or my generation has seen the sort of deterioration from the EDSA high na medyo bump nung EDSA DOS and now to where we are, which is almost close to the bottom of the barrel. No?
Yeah.
But of course, when you talk to the generation before me, yung mga nabuhay ng 70s, they'll probably be more circumspect about it na sasabihin nila, buti nga na we're enjoying freedoms today than kesa nung panahon nila, nung mga 70s and 60s. So, it depends, no? So, interesting yung report kanina when they asked yung mga college students ngayon na at least ang na-sense ko is that the generation now is, there's like an overbearing sense of nostalgia, no? Na EDSA was something na could have ushered in better times and baka makuha ulit yung magic na yon. So, it depends on the person who you ask, no, kung ano yung perspective about EDSA.
Right. Well, Attorney, of course, it's a matter of perspective, but there's no doubt, there's no denying the fact na, of course, yeah, we did restore democracy. We did restore a number of freedoms, but the issue is we're still back to where we were in terms of human rights violations. We're still back to where we were in terms of corruption. Where did we go wrong? I mean, we had the chance to correct everything in '86. What was done wrong?
Alam mo, Diego, that's a good question, you know, and I'm sure many smarter people will have better answers than me, no? But ang take ko is, I think the fundamental lesson is nation building is hard, no? Statecraft is challenging, and the things that you talked about, human rights, freedoms, economic development, these are public goods that we need to work hard for. No, they're not going to happen magically or out of the thin blue air. No, so ang lesson is we really have to become better citizens, more engaged citizens, so that we can work hard for those public goods that we want. And I think we've been struggling with that in the past 4 decades, no, na meron tayong tendency to be just active during elections and then we retreat to our respective longgas in between election, and that essentially allowed the political elites to lord it over, no? To lord over politics and governance. So, yun yung that's the quick explanation that I can offer. But really, the lesson that we must be internalizing is that if we really want to reform our government, our politics, then you have to work hard for it.
Professor, since you're also in the academics, di ba ito kasi when I was younger, this was taught to us in history class, di ba? Sa CBK, tinuturo to kung anong nangyari sa EDSA Revolution. we used to have the 500 peso bill, and nakita natin yung bata doon in that photo. A lot of things are kind of, if you ask me, medyo parang kumbaga nawawala na unti-unti. I'm not sure if in the current curriculum this is tackled as much as it was back in the day.
Yeah.
But do you think we should put a little more attention to that, so that we can again educate and tell the story to the younger generation?
100%. No, that's exactly what we should be doing. But I'm not sure if we're not doing that already, no? Kasi nung panahon ko, we never had EDSA in our curriculum kasi very fresh pa, no? But ewan ko lang ngayon. But certainly, it should be part of our curriculum, as is constitutional education, kasi those are intricately linked, no? Yung EDSA people power, and also the ratification of our current constitution. So kailangan talaga kasama siya sa pinag-aaralan ng mga kabataan natin, from basic education to high school and even up to college, no? Kasi civics education is the backbone of nation building and statecraft, no? So if we are weak in civics education, then what can we expect about our nation building efforts, our statecraft efforts? Of course, they will also be weak, and that's where we are now. No, we are struggling still with human rights, struggling still with corruption, because we have had a very weak civics education.
But what role did social media play in all of this? Because even if you have a strong backbone in civics education, let's face it, in the last 10 to 15 years, we saw the rise of former President Rodrigo Duterte. We saw a return of Marcos to power. And a lot have been saying it's because the narrative of what martial law was going to EDSA was changed because of social media disinformation campaigns, troll campaigns. So what role did it play, and how much of a role did social media play?
Obviously, it played a big part because a majority of our young people are on social media. Obviously, that makes them susceptible or vulnerable to any information that they can gather from social media, right? So, kung ano man ang lumalabas sa social media, well, that's really beyond them, right? That's beyond them. The only thing that we can control as civil society is the capability of our citizens to be critical of those information that are available, that are spreading on social media. Mm-hmm. So again, I go back to the poor civics education that we have, which includes our poor media and information literacy, that makes us susceptible to those kinds of historical revisionists operations, disinformation operations. But that's actually a good point. But the emphasis should be on equipping our citizens, who are mostly now on social media, to have a more critical, curious attitude when they are on social media.
Well, after 40 years, marami na talagang a lot has changed, right? A lot has changed as to technology and all that. And well, now that marami ring kumbaga iba't ibang fractions, like there's Dilawan,
Although nadadagan ang landscape
diba? May
yeah.
mga iba't ibang grupo, as we could call it. But Professor, do you believe that it is possible for all of these groups, regardless of color, whatever you represent, to come together for something common, and they can all meet and come and be at peace when it comes to, let's say, education, pagsusulong ng kumbaga health, benefits and rights,
nation building.
Yes, posible ba yan?
Well, first, hindi bago yung fragmented polity, no, or fragmented politics.
Yeah.
That was already present before, no. Lalong-lalo na the years before the 86 revolution, no. Kaya nga very celebrated yung UNIDO, yung unification ni President Cory at ni Vice President Doy Laurel.
Yes, that's
no?
right.
Because that was the supreme sacrifice so that nagkaroon ng parang the real genuine opposition. But the fragmentation existed before as it is existing now, no. Ang pagkakaiba today is dati kasi merong yung mga politicians natin, yung mga political stakeholders natin, I would say including other sectoral groups, they have this shared sort of affection for the public interest, no, na they are in the game for the betterment of the country. And that is what allows them to come together and find a consensus. Not necessarily yung unity na iniisip mo o yung, kumbaga, isang bangka tayo. Not necessarily like that, no? Pwedeng meron pa ring disagreements, meron pa ring mga samaang ng loob, but the overwhelming feeling, I would say, is that we have to do better for the country. So, nagkakaroon ng spaces for compromise, spaces for giving in, and also, meron din spaces for kami naman, tapos kayo naman, yung mga ganon ba? But right now, we don't have that kind of mentality. No? Right now, our political stakeholders, more specifically our politicians, are driven by dynastic interests. And therefore, ang kanilang iniisip lagi is yung sarili lang nila, right? Kung anong magbe-benefit sa amin, yun lang ang gagawin namin kapag nasa poder na kami. Hence, we are seeing now the pork barrel scam. Hence, we are seeing now the flood control issues. Because that is what dynastic politics offers. No? So, hindi problema, actually ang problema ngayon is our political stakeholders have lost that sense of we are in this together in the long run, in the broader scheme of things, no? Which will allow them to sort of, we have to find solutions for all our problems. Wala na tayong ganun na mga politicians, na mga stakeholders na ganun mag-isip. And that is another result of poor, weak civics education.
Well, here's to hoping that, the lessons
Yeah.
of EDSA 40 years ago will be somehow relived and relearned for this generation. Maraming salamat. That's all the time that we have, but we appreciate you spending time with us. Attorney Michael Yusinko, Senior Research Fellow at the Ateneo Policy Center. Maraming salamat.